In this video, let's quickly evaluate a few best practices in RESTful services design. The first and the last best practice is consumer first. Always think about your consumer. Have a clear idea about who your consumers are. Is it a web application? Do you expect a mobile application coming in a future? And have a clear idea of what they want. Before you name your resources, think from the perspective of your customers. What do they think about those resources? Will they be able to understand the naming of your resources? The simpler it is for your consumer to understand your services, the better it is for you. Last but not the least, have great documentation for your APIs. Swagger is one of the most popular documentation standards for RESTful APIs, but whatever standard you are using, make sure that your consumers understand the documentation that you produce. The next important best practice is make the best use of whatever HTTP provides. RESTful web services are based on HTTP. Make the best use of the request methods. Use the right request method appropriate for your specific action. Get, post, put, and delete. And ensure that you are sending a proper response status back. When a resource is not found, do not send a server error. When there is a bad request, when there is a validation error, do not send a server error. Send a bad request 400. When you create a resource, do not send just success. Send created back. Think about what is the appropriate response status for your situation. Ensure that there is no secure info that is sent in your URIs. Things like SSN. Just don't go by the standard definition. Think about what you are putting in the URI and make sure that there is nothing secure that's going in your URIs. Always use plurals. For example, in the course, we always use /users. Any resource that we created was /users/1, not /users/1. I really prefer using the plurals because more readable than using a singular. When you think resources, think nouns. It's user, it's account. It's not delete user, it's not delete account. Think about nouns. When you talk about resources, think about nouns. However, thinking about nouns is not always possible, right? There are always exception scenarios. For example, if there's a search link on the web page, how do you do that? For all these exception scenarios, have a consistent approach. If you're searching through something, then if you're searching through users, then say /users/search. So on the resources, have the action defined. For example, this is how GitHub does a star on the GIS. So if I put a star on the gist, the way GitHub sends the request is to the resource of the gist. It sends a put request with star in the URI. And the same thing in the delete. If I unstar something, this is the request which goes out. So define a consistent approach of how you'd want to handle the exception scenarios, things that don't fit into the nouns. What we looked at in this step are some of the best practices in RESTful design. Most important thing, consumer first.